Okay, one of the biggest things I want to know is just like your journey to Fox and then at Fox and then after Fox.
Cool.
Like what you've been doing after school.
Is it something that just gets shared at the class?
Yeah, pretty much.
Cool.
Yeah.
I came to Fox because there was someone I knew in high school who was a few years older than me who had done theater at Fox, and she highly recommended it to me. We were in the same community theater group in my hometown.
Was that in Washington?
Yes.
I think the Peninsula Association of...
Yeah.
Yeah, it was... Okay, there's two pictures of you, I think. One of them was like when you were a kid, and one of them you were more grown up.
Yeah, whereas, like, at a lot of other theater programs, you have to really specialize. Like, I have a friend that went, I don't remember if it was Oregon State, I don't remember, doesn't matter. But she didn't make it into their acting program. So, like, she could be a theater major, but she couldn't specialize in acting because she didn't qualify. And I didn't want that kind of stuff. And then,
But you were an actor for a while, though.
Yeah.
But you felt more drawn to, like, directing and...
Yeah, and I still enjoy acting. It's just the problem is that there are... Like, I only have so much time. And that's why I felt a lot more at home in, like, experimental theater, where it's a little more acceptable to do a little bit of everything, where, like, I can act and I can direct and I can devise and do all of those things at once. And then also, like, I enjoy doing my own work because then I can make the theater that I want to see. A lot of times, they tell you to not go out and, like, start your own theater company, like, but there's only a handful of very good reasons to do it. It depends on who you ask. But that my reason has always been for, like, doing my own work is just that I am not encountering the work I want to be doing out in the world, and so then I have to just make it myself. And so that people I respect that I've talked to, that they've said that that's a very good reason for that. Yeah.
What would the bad reasons be?
To...
Probably not a great way to make money.
Yeah.
Like immediately off the bat, anyway.
Making money, and then I think that there are people... Man, I don't think I've ever articulated that. That's a really good question. I think that it's really easy to have a skewed mission statement because, like, I took theater management, and so it was part of that. We had a project where we, like, created a theater company, and so you, like, create a mission statement and, like, all that stuff. And I think it's really easy to have good intentions, but then creating a new theater company is not the best way to do that. It can feel easiest to, like, start over from scratch and just be doing your own thing, but a lot of times I think it is better to build upon the systems that are already there. Like, if you just want to be doing new work, you don't need to create your own theater company to do that. Like, there are other companies that will support you, and that is really hard, and those are hard avenues. And so, like, that may not always be the best route, but I don't think that should be your only reason.
Hey.
Oh, hey.
What's up?
I have good news and bad news.
Great.
I'm not finding the pants,
They might still be here.
but I got a whole bunch of shoes.
Great. Can you dig through the shoes and see if you can find for Emma some, like, nude character shoes?
Yeah. Thank you.
So since your LinkedIn bio says freelance theater artist specializing in directing, that means you're trying to find some other theater company that would, like what you said, support you in your directions?
Yeah, so my career path has actually taken a somewhat major shift recently.
Oh, really?
This summer I decided that I do want to get my master's.
Mm.
I had applied a year ago to directing master's programs. 'Cause through circumstances I could do it for free. There's an organization called IRDA that you can apply to a whole bunch of theater grad schools at once. I did that, didn't get in, wasn't that surprised about it. In theater, you can't get into grad school for the first couple years for most programs, at least for like acting and directing. They don't want you. They want you to go like get experience and figure your life out first. But like it was a good experience applying, but then since then I've realized I couldn't do 3 years of one thing. Like I couldn't do 3 years of just directing. I think that would make me miserable. Now I'm in the middle of applying actually to schools with a philosophy of religion degree because I'm really interested by the intersection of theology and theater, and then that also branches. That would let me keep around some philosophy stuff that I enjoy doing, but then my plan is that after that I'll get my PhD in theater. So a lot of the like theory stuff I really enjoy. See, there are other ones.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
And yeah, so that's where I'm at now. I want to keep directing. I want to keep acting. I wrote a play this summer and I have a play that I've been working on that may become my doctoral thesis. I don't know. It depends what I'm feeling when the time comes, and in the meantime, so I want to keep working on it. But just, there is an academic approach to creating plays that I have a hard time finding elsewhere. And then also, quite frankly, Fox just does theater very differently than a lot of other places. The style of collaboration is very different. I had kind of a culture shock when I did, is that it?
Yeah, do you want me to look in the
Yes.
shoe piles?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything, but see what you can find. Yeah, I did the National Kennedy Center Directing Intensive 2 years ago now. One year? Is that last? 2 summers ago. And I really enjoyed it. It was all mine because of COVID, but then the thing that was very weird is that I felt like I was on a different wavelength from the rest of my peers, which was actually kind of disheartening to me at the time because, like, one thing you're told a lot is that directing is like a very solitary profession, and that like you don't get a chance to work with other directors very often, which is true. And so then I was excited to meet other directors from all over the U.S. and like that was great, but then also like there kept on being things we learned in our workshop. It was a week of workshops that there kept on being things we were learning that I like already knew that was new information for them. And yes.
Hi, sorry. Are there sleeves?
It's they're probably in this pile down here.
Okay.
You're totally good.
Yeah, all of that got transferred out of a bag into down here and not into a bin.
Cool.
Anyways, that I know where I was, just finding words again. Yeah, it was just very, very strange, and I felt very disconnected because I was hoping to learn from other peers, but instead I found myself not even necessarily more advanced, just in a drastically different place.
It just felt kind of like a course.
Not even that. It was almost like I was taking workshops that didn't quite apply to me. The example I've used a lot when describing this is that for a daily schedule, we're going to do a workshop on queering the rehearsal room. And then in our morning meeting to get ready for the day, found out that workshop was going to be on breaking down hierarchy in rehearsal, and I was just like, that sounds great. I know I already do that more than some other people, but I would love to be able to take it a step further. So we had a workshop with this wonderful trans director who talked about the ways that he had revamped the traditional rehearsal process, and to me, none of it was really new information because it was all how we do theater at Fox. but then like everybody else in the workshop was blown away. And I honestly felt really alienated because then I realized I was like, I don't know what the rest of you all are doing. And so then, yeah, and so I think that I articulated recently, I think that made me a little afraid to work in like mainstream quote unquote theater of just, and I think I also find it exhausting. Like as a director, I have a lot of control over how rehearsals run and how the collaborative process runs. But then until I establish like my outside of school community, I have to establish that every rehearsal process. And it's just a lot of work. And I think it's not the work that I'm interested in right now.
Yeah. Feels like that would be a major part of the process instead of just like coming into something
Yeah.
with already broken down hierarchies. Like you already have a good process.
Yeah.
And you kind of don't want to have to reinvent that every time.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
had like kind of a moment of confirmation because I went to the first
Makes sense.
rehearsal for Much Ado, and like sitting down is just like, oh, like part of it is just because everybody knows how this process is going to work. It's a show with mostly upperclassmen, this isn't their first rodeo, but then also just the atmosphere was really different, and that's something that a lot of people experience when the theater department goes to KCACTF. Is just realizing that the culture at Fox is tangibly different. Like obviously we have our problems, but that. Yeah, I think it is a great place to learn theater. Yeah.
Dang. That makes me sad because it's not doing so well right now.
Yeah.
Not because of any fault of the theater, but yeah.
Yeah.
That really sucks. Okay. I also wanted to ask about, since we were talking about Much Ado, what's your role in that right now? I know you're not the director, right? Isn't that Rhett?
Yeah. Rhett's the director. I am the manager of the costume shop.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been a very steep learning curve.
You've been a sewist before.
Yeah.
But this is like the manager.
Yeah,
is the big
I
stuff.
worked for like a year and a half in the costume shop in undergrad. And then last year, I think technically my title is costume construction consultant. So then like I'm like paperwork says I'm a temporary employee, but
Yeah.
the but so then my job is the designer gives me her designs, and then my job is to make it happen. And I have encountered a lot of problems in the process just because I've done similar things, but I've never done a show from beginning to end. And also just like this is a very complicated show. It's a big cast. There are a lot of costumes. They're period, and they're like very tailored, and so they're very specific in the way they have to be built. And like honestly, a lot of it has been beyond my skill level. And like right now we're behind where we should be, and like it's been a lot of, I've had to have a lot of like relentless self-forgiveness of just like I've made mistakes, and I've made a lot of mistakes during this process, which I'm not good at. I think this surprises people a lot, but that I'm not good at making mistakes because I tend to be pretty preemptive in my thinking and how I deal with things, but since I don't have the experience to do that here, it's just been learning kind of a step behind. And so it's kind of like I am proud of what I've learned. I think I have not been proud of my process, but then I think that's part of it, and I have to be okay with that, which I've been getting better at more recently. But yeah, it's been rough, but I am eager to do better for the next show.
Is there somewhere I can find all the shows that you've been in, or do you recall them all?
Yeah, I can tell you now. I can also send you, it's not like set up to be public yet, because it costs money, but I can send you my website.
Okay. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Do you want things I've acted in, things I've directed in, or both?
Both.
Just like anything that I've done?
Yeah. That'd be great.
I can just type it in. because I don't think everything's on my website, but I have a spreadsheet I keep. Fabulous. The ones on my left. The ones that are labeled for. Put those over here in the pile of things you keep together. And then,
Yeah. You could either send me a picture or a screenshot, or I can take a picture of it. That'd be cool.
oh, let's see if we can find those pants. What did I do with them? Give Shannon pants. Give Shannon pants.
And would Average Folks be your most recent, like, directing?
Yes.
Sweet. I just wanted to. What was that like?
That was also a learning process. See if you can find Shannon's pants. Yeah. I had never directed anything audio only. I had done sound design before, but that's different. And that.
Were you with each actor while they did their performance?
So the way it worked is that we held all of our rehearsals remotely. We posted them through Discord. Because they're not it.
I love Discord.
And so, actually it started, Elise was writing the first 3 episodes for an independent study project. And she asked me to direct the workshopping of that. And so I did that, and then we kind of just never stopped. We ran a Kickstarter campaign to fund the bare expenses that we would need for the first season. And we held auditions and callbacks. We did that remotely, so it also involved an interview process to make sure that we could work with the people that auditioned. And then we rehearsed for like 3.5 months. And then we took a week and we recorded on campus. We used the setup they had in Ross last year. So some of the actors we never met in person until we showed up for recording. It was really funny that there was one actor in particular who was significantly taller than I thought he would be. And so then we took a week and we recorded. Then after that, I did the rough cuts, so picking which take of each line we wanted to use and putting all that together, and then sent that off to our sound editor and designer and our composer. And then Elise and I would meet once a week with them and make sure everything was good to go as we released. But yeah, when I direct, I have it's very physical for me. It's something akin to it's proprioceptive. It's your sense of where your body is in space and where other things are in space. I don't really direct by sight, and so then that was something that that's what has been challenging for me about Zoom theater and stuff like that. I love consuming it. Can't stand to do it because there isn't that physical element. It's all visual. My visual processing isn't great, and so it's just not for me. But then Average Folks is different because then normally the way I direct, it's very roundabout of just I want you to do this physical thing to get this other result that I want. All of directing is just asking the actor to do something that looks unrelated so then they get the idea you want them to have. And so just learning to do that in an audio only medium was it took me a while to get, but I feel like I got a feel for it right towards the end.
So you're in a Discord chat or whatever with video and audio while they're recording, and you can kind of give them guidance.
Yeah, we actually didn't do any recording then, but what we would do is that in between we'd have video on, but then we actually turned video off for when we were actually running scenes. Is because it just produced a different quality and no one was going to be able to see each other anyway. And I think it allowed actors to really focus on the sounds they were producing rather than also trying to act here. So then it gave them the freedom to do whatever they wanted with their body, not have to be responding to other people's bodies.
Yeah.
And just react to voice.
Nice. Okay. That sounds really fun. Yeah, I think I saw the setups that you had in the piano rooms.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I'm just gonna share this with you.
Cool.
Oh, I'm not.
Hmm.
I didn't see anything in the green room.
Oh, they wouldn't be in the green room. They'd be on the rack.
Where's the rack?
Yeah, when I was there this morning, you walk in, like you just walk in the main door, and it's just straight across on the other side of the theater.
Did not look there.
Fabulous.
Oh,
Okay, I was gonna get really worried because like, where did the pants go? It's gonna be so
Grab another
bad.
What's on like the horizon for you? Like, what are you thinking about?
Well, like I said, I'm in the middle of applying to grad school, so that's kind of next. Elise and I are in preparation to do season 2 of Average Folks.
Sweet.
We'll probably start really moving on that the first of the year. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at now. I think I'll find out if I get into the grad school programs I want.
Did those
February,
conflict for you?
March. They don't actually. The programs I'm applying to are all in the UK because they only offer the degree that I want for some reason. And so they're in trimesters, so they start way later.
Cool.
So I'll have
That's great.
that flexibility. Yeah.
Yeah, I just started listening to Average Folks, and it is so good. I'm having a very good time.
Excellent.
It's fun. I love hearing Danny in it. He's so fun. I mean, everybody's good in it, but yeah. Gosh.
Yeah, I just emailed you a link to my spreadsheet where I track
Thank you. Awesome.
all of my stuff.
That's a good idea.
This also had like my job history, but it's mostly theater stuff.
Dang, that was really interesting about the like the hierarchy in the theater production area, like, because I know for film it's very rigid in its hierarchies. Like, it is ridiculous. Like, if you talk to the wrong person,
Yeah.
you're fucked.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah, and that's part of why.
It's interesting that
Part of why
Fox
I
is
like
nice,
theater.
is good with that.
Yeah, like honestly, one thing that tends to be pretty tangible, and I haven't really experienced it anywhere else, but I'm told for people that have like transferred, that just the attitude of like during auditions and callbacks of like people hang out on the bridge and like people are friendly to each other during that process. And that's not necessarily the case everywhere else. That it's much more cutthroat.
Wow. That must feel so terrible, like, and take the joy out of theater, which is not supposed to happen.
Yeah, that
You
I
know,
think,
that sounds awful.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's actually the advice I give to a lot of people.
It's not
because
everywhere, but you know.
Yeah, the people I know that are graduating or have
Shoot.
recently graduated, that to like know what you want to do and to know why you want to do it. Especially if you're in something like in the arts or something where you're not gonna make money, but of like knowing why you're doing that thing is so important, because then that becomes your metric of success rather than like anything else. Actually, Elise and I sat down with Average Folks and talked about what our goals were for season 2, because it has very little to do with like audience or anything like that. That we both, like, one of our goals was just to have fun. Like, the first season took a lot out of us just because we'd never done that before. But that we want to have fun, and we want to give our audience space to have fun. And also that we both want to be able to devote more time to becoming better at what we do. Now that we know what the process should look like, we can focus on being more intentional with our artistry. And so then we'll be able to tell if we succeeded at the end of the second season, is if we accomplished those things.
Huh. Yeah, I mean, the show felt very flexible. Like, you just kind of were doing what you wanted, but also it was very, like, is cohesive the right word? I don't know. It just worked. It worked, but it also felt like you were just having fun. Yeah. Really, that came through for sure. Sweet. Yeah, I'm excited for the second season.
Yeah.
All right. That should be good. That was a good spot to end, actually.
Yeah. And actually, I have to go to the escape room now.
Oh, awesome.
Is the shoulder part of the sleeve supposed to be gathered?
Yes.
Okay.
I saw your
This is
confusion, and
not
I was
good.
about to be like, we added gathers. It's okay.
Okay.
One more thing, sorry. You grew up in, is Peninsula the city, or what is that?
I technically grew up in Ocean Park, Washington,
Ocean Park, yeah,
which
that's
is
what
on the Long Beach Peninsula.
Okay.
Which is broken down into like 5 towns, some of which are incorporated, some of which are not. Technically, even more technically, I grew up in Clipson Beach.
Okay. Alright. Awesome. Thanks.